Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Chairperson of this session, my co-panelists and delegates to this conference. I'm a student of economics, and I start my discussion with a lighter note that law of diminishing utility or return is applicable in most of the situations, and therefore session after session we have a low number of delegates attending the session. But anyhow, small is beautiful, and therefore we can have very interactive discussion during this session. The earlier speakers have spoken at length the challenges or the scenario in the higher education. During the last 10 years or so, massive growth in higher education has taken place, be it the number of universities in India, or increase in the gross enrollment ratio, or it is the increase in the number of faculty in different colleges and universities. But one thing is very clear, that this massive growth has created or distorted the operation of or the functioning of the labor market. It has created problems for research as well as a challenge to the examination system in the universities. So broadly, these are the three areas on which I will speak. That is the issue of employability, the challenges in the job market, and the second is the research, and the third one is the education examination system and the problems we are facing. Conventionally or traditionally, the purpose of education in India remained to be to develop social, cognitive skills, the behavioral skills, the communication skills of the students, so that the student is prepared for the lifelong learning. But today, with the process of globalization, the changes taking place, the growth in the professional education, the employability issue has come into the picture, and rightly so. After getting the professional degree, after investing so much money, one should be ready to get the job. But the statistics reveals otherwise. The government reports, the other trade organization, business houses report, they reveal that hardly the employability is to the extent of 11%, or some say it is 15% or 20%. But the larger issue is that there is a mismatch what a student learn in the universities and colleges and what is expected from the student in the workplace. And what the industry expects is the certain level of knowledge, certain level of skills, certain level of behavioral attitude of the student, and a good communication skills. But we find on all these parameters there is a mismatch. And what I personally or my experience says, it is the problems, they are related to the curriculum, they are related to the syllabi, and most importantly, I think, it is the problem how the faculty teach. The level of faculty we have in institutions, we have in the universities, because they don't have the experience, they don't have the work experience, they lack in teaching experiential learning to the student. One of my friend, who was a graduate of very reputed engineering college, he told me that during his BTech program, he only heard the word boilers is there, boiler. In mechanical engineering, word boiler. But after getting employment in a thermal plant, he was able to see the size of the boiler and the way it operates. So the problem is that the faculty, I am not saying that it is applicable to all the institutes, the good institute, but in general, I am saying there is a need for a faculty training. There is a need for having a close interaction between the universities, colleges, and the industry. So the important point I am making is that there is a need for liaising between the university and the industry. And in that context, I think we have to develop mechanism whereby on a regular basis a faculty is deputed in the industry to have some training. In our university, we experimented this. During the summer breaks, we deputed 2-3 teachers on a rotational basis, and the results are good. Similarly, there is a need to have more and more such type of interaction between industry and the university. Now, this interaction could be at various levels. This could help in understanding this could help the universities and colleges to understand the requirement of the market. The market is very fluid. Market is very dynamic. In Indian scenario, we find the most of the jobs, they are in the informal sector. It is seasonal in nature. There are certain sectors, certain types of jobs, like there is a huge demand for plumber, there is a huge demand for electrician, there is a huge demand for other skill-based courses. And a person may get salary of, say, 15,000 or 20,000. An engineer may not get. So there is a structural imbalance which has been created over the years. It is because of this mismatch that what industry need is a ready-made type of the person who can immediately join the group or the organization and deliver the result. In fact, our university, we had series of interactive sessions with the industrialists, with the companies, and they pointed out their problem that we cannot wait for 6 months or year that first a management graduate or engineering graduate be first trained and then they will provide the result. No, they want some sort of the person who has certain skills, some knowledge, understanding of the market, and take the decision. So this decision-making skills or the skills to deliver the result, that is very, very crucial, essential, but that can only be imparted to the students when we have the teacher, when we have the faculty who themselves are aware of the scenario, the working of the different organizations and the industry. So in that context, it is essential, and we also have to give importance to vocational and training related aspect to the students in the different courses. Now we have in mind, the country has seen how medical education is imparted. There is a hospital where the students are given clinical training. There is a teaching aspect where the teachers take the classes. So general classes plus clinical training which is given in the hospital, that prepares the student well to deliver the result. So similar medical type of experimentation need to be extended to the different courses, although it has although it is a very difficult challenge how small institutions, they will have a licensing and interaction with the industry. But during our interactive sessions, we found that there is a lot of scope for interaction with the small and medium industries. Most of the time, institutes or universities, they look for bigger organization, maybe for publicity or maybe whatever genuine reason. But they ignore small organization where the real learning of the student takes place. And most of the institutes or universities, they never approach small organizations. So there is a need to approach them and have a listening with them to provide the student the exposure of real life, how the working of the industry, how the industry works, how the decisions are taken, how the work is handled. So this is one area which I think there is a need. And similarly, it is good to have the linkages with the foreign universities. It is good to have linkages with the big institutions. But we have seen that most of the MOUs which are signed with the foreign universities or with the other organizations, they practically are not implemented and very difficult to implement. So the real, I believe, is the realistic thing to do is to first explore the good organizations which are accessible in India, and then start developing the good relationship with them so that faculty, student, they get the exposure instead of having the MOUs just for sake of MOUs and get publicity. So this trend, this needs to be, I think, relook. We have to relook at this problem. So this is one area, the employability. The second is the research. The previous speakers in the first session, they have very rightly pointed out that the contribution of India's in research is 3%, whereas the China, it is 18%. So India lags behind the developed nation and even the emerging countries like Brazil, China, South Korea, etc. in this area. And the government spending on R&D is very less. It is 1.03%. In America, it is 2.47. So as a percentage of GDP, our spending is less, and most of the spending, that is by the government. The private sector initiative in this front is very limited. Research is something, we in economics say it is a public good. It is a public good. You create so many externalities. You create so many benefits for the society, and those benefits help all sections of society. Therefore, it needs to be promoted primarily by the government, but definitely the private sector initiative has to be there, and that can only come, I think, if there is a close interaction between the industry and the academia. They can, the faculty from the academia, they can interact with them, assess their problems, and provide solutions. We go for big ideas. What is required is small ideas and understanding the local needs, providing solutions in that context. So that is the need of the hour. At the same time, in India, we have made the getting MTech, PhD degrees mandatory for the teachers. If you have to teach BTech, then MTech is mandatory. If you have to get promotion to higher scale in teaching, then you need to be PhD. Now, we have seen that the MTech degrees which engineering graduates they are acquiring is worthless. Again, I am saying it is not applicable to all the institutions, but in general, this is the trend which is taking place. So research is confirmatory in nature. We first see what type of result we want to have, and it is not sort of the novel or the professor, I think Bharat has pointed out the real research which should take place, and we neglect the local and the national issues of priority. Research have to be oriented towards the local, addressing the local and the national priority issue. In that context, I think, again, the role of industry is important. If the project or the research is addressing their issues, their problems, then there could be a meaningful dialogue between universities and the industry. The last point I would like quickly to touch upon is the examination system. The examination system for any educational institute is crucial. Ultimately, what the student has learned, it is examined through the examination, comprehensive examination system. Now, the problem is that, first of all, we should be very clear that ultimately what skill set a student must possess after acquiring the degree. Suppose MBA graduate. So after completing management degree, what skill set a student must have? The analytical skills, the communication skills, the behavioral skills, and so forth. This clarity, I think, is lacking. After completing BTech course, what skill set a student must have? Similarly for MTech, similarly for any other program, this clarity needs, there is a need for having clarity on this aspect. Once we know that these are the qualities or these are the traits or these the skills or knowledge a student must have, then examination system must be geared up to address this. Now we have only one written examination system in most of the institutes, and that tests the student on all the parameter, which is a faulty one. We cannot test the student in just 3 hours in any subject. So we have to relook on this aspect. I personally feel if the number of students are less, then definitely internal assessment by the faculty, that is the best. Internal assessment by the faculty, if the number of students are reasonably manageable, then it is the best, because the faculty knows where the students stand on different parameters. But on a larger footing, in affiliating universities where the students are in lakhs, then it becomes a difficult issue. Moreover, internal assessment assumes that a teacher is mature, a teacher knows how to assess the things, is a very disciplined and understand the whole issue. If this is the assumption, then internal assessment is good. But this assumption is not true, and therefore, in most of the cases, it is a mixture of the two, blend of the two, internal and external, which is the the reality. This is one issue. The second is,
can I request you to
just last point. In the mark sheet, if universities are somehow able to grade the student on different skills, like on discipline, general proficiency or discipline, we can rate the student and show in the mark sheet. On technical skill, this. On communication skill, this. On behavioral skill, on other practical knowledge and understanding, these types of skills, we can rate them. Then probably it may provide a good indication or input to the employer that what type of student one is. Simply 70, 80, 90% sometimes doesn't reflect the true picture or the quality of the student. But assessment on all these parameters, if done properly, that can be a good, I think, service which educational institutes can do. But all these issues require a research, and the standards and measures, they first have to be foolproof. Otherwise, it could be a problematic area also. Thank you very much.